Welcome back to Golf AZ Radio. More hours, more guests, more laughs. Powered by Golfsmith International. We're live at Golfsmith at 54th Street and Ray Road, just east of I-10. And it's another glorious day in the golf mecca of the world, and we're off and running. And we got our first real guest coming on this morning. Guys, I'll give you a little aspect here that we need to probably sharpen up our mental game.
This looks very interesting.
Yes, and the gentleman that's coming on with us is the founder, CEO, Class A Pro that invented this, or is the main driver behind it. We traded, I think, a couple emails. I got him in LinkedIn, and I had him on the list, but, we've had a tough time getting people on the show because we're so full.
Yes.
And it came up that we had this opening. I'm going, this might be one of those deals for a good Christmas present or something. And I'm going, I've always been interested in this. And I've always been interested with the brain and the thought process of golf and how to become better mentally. I like thinking about it because it doesn't work for me. But anyways,
this guest could be perfect for you.
Yeah, I know. He may ruin his career. He may fold up shop tomorrow. But we're fortunate enough to have with us right now the CEO, the founder, Class A Pro, Tim Suzer. Tim, how you doing today?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And it's THINQ Golf. Do we got that right?
THINQ Golf, and it's actually THINQ.
Yep, THINQ, THINQ Golf, and it's a game your brain. And I'm just sitting there going, holy mackerel. But first of all, though, we want to find out a little bit more about Tim.
Yeah, a little bio on Tim.
Yeah, Tim, tell us about yourself first.
Pretty simply, I'm a golf professional, PGA member. I've been teaching golf for 20 years. I've worked with players. I've been in the Valley here for 20 years, and I've worked with players at every level, from top juniors to tour players.
Are you a native? Are you a native of
Michigan? I'm a Michigander.
So you know Danny Joe Pole the Polecat, or heard of him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he is a co-host on the show whenever he decides to show up.
Which is rare.
No. On Thursday,
he's a special guest every now and then.
Well, he was one of the main guys, but since he's traveled more, he makes an appearance about once a week is about what he does. But I just want to introduce the host today. We got LPGA rookie to my right is Kayla Mortellero. She's on a little IR, a little shoulder rehab, and then Shot Dog over here is Danny Shot. He is a former member of the PGA and our golf historian, and I am Uncle Buck, Joe Q, public golfer. So anyway, now you got the lineup, and we're anxious to talk about THINQ Golf.
Great.
So now, like I say, from Michigan. Now, what clubs do you work? What club do you work out of, Tim?
Actually, I spent most of my career with Marriott Golf and Camelback Golf Club. But I've been involved more. I still do teach. I still have, in fact, had some players in Q school this week. But I've been very much involved with the couple companies, K-Vest, K-Motion Interactive.
Oh, okay.
We put inertial sensors on the body and track 3D motion. And then THINQ Golf, I started with Dr. Debbie Cruz, which is a professor from ASU, and working more on the mental aspect. So we build technologies for athletes to perform better.
I think that's and obviously it's critical, but are you able to drop a name of maybe your most famous golfer you worked with, or can you do that?
That I've worked with?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I was out on the PGA Tour for about 4 years traveling. We got to about 12 to 15 events. I've worked with Charles Hall, Brian Gay, Tim Petrovic, Anna Norquist at the LPGA. That's where I met Dr. Debbie Cruz. She is the team sports psychologist for the ASU men's and women's golf team, and I was the volunteer coach there. And so I got a chance to work with a lot of the girls that are on the LPGA, a lot of them that were on the Solheim Cup, Azahara Munoz, like I said, Anna Norquist I worked with for years. And yes, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of elite level golfers. And one of the voids that I saw at the highest level was in the mental game. If I went to the Players Championship and I'm on the tee with one of my players and I'm looking down the line and I'm looking at Tiger or Rory, I'm going, these guys, there's a differentiating factor here. There's something unique about the way that these guys process. And I was looking for a way that we could train some of these skills that some of these people possess. Because I think most of us kind of rely on, let's pick up a book and read about the mental aspect of the game, or let's listen to an audio book or watch a DVD. But these actually skills that you can train that we've built, and to THINQ Golf is somewhere we can go online, and we offer a little bit more than just cognitive training with games, but also education. So it more or less just seemed like I've always taught golf from a very kind of scientific background, I guess you could say, biomechanics. And so we use technologies to quantify our procedures. If it's the golf swing, or if it's fitting someone for equipment, or fitting someone for a golf ball, it's like, well, I know you can quantify things with the brain with the technology and where neuroscience has come. So that's how this evolved.
Yeah, that's interesting,
Well,
Doggy.
Tim, I was going to ask you, when did you start delving into the mental aspect of golf? Because you said you were instructing for many years, but
Did
how long?
K-Vest
When did
and-
you start to really get into the mental side of this?
It was about 2007. And, I give my first golf lesson in 1992, and it takes a while even a golf professional in teaching, is there's a lot, there's a lot of controversy with the golf swing and different swing methodologies and whatnot. And then you're learning about club fitting, you're learning about the biomechanics of the body and the fitness and how it works. So as a golf professional, you kind of absorb yourself into, you get one-dimensional. You look at the golf swing, and you're like, okay, we can get your ball striking better. And I think as you mature as an instructor, you really start to appreciate more of the mental game when you have looked at everything else and you're like, man, maybe my player's just not thinking like this player that is top 10ing every week and making cuts. And I grew more of appreciation working with Dr. Cruz at ASU, because she had spent 30 years. It's kind of a unique individual in a way that most people haven't spent that much time researching the brain. And when I say researching the brain, she was actually taking golfers, hooking them up to EEGs, looking at electrical activity in the brain, and looking for patterns, and wanted to know, what's an elite level golfer do versus an amateur? And then my thing was, well, okay, you got that data. What do you do with it? What do we do now? How do we train them to get to the next level? So I did grow more of an appreciation for it later in my teaching career, and so now I balance it out more. Body and mind is kind of the goal.
Tim, I'm going to ask you this question. In your opinion, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do we really know about the brain and how it works? Because it seems like we're just at the tip of the iceberg with understanding how this works. But in your opinion, how much do we really know about the brain?
Yeah, it's almost like we go through life in autopilot.
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
I think that's what is it kind of a deal.
But
No?
are we learning more?
Yeah, we do. Very good question. And I think, I said neuroscience has evolved a lot in the last 25 years. And I say that because at one point we thought our brain was hardwired. They call it actually hardwiring. It's neuroplasticity. It's able for the brain to actually adapt and grow new circuits. And I think at one time neuroscience was like, hey, this is your brain. This is what you got. And, work the best you can with it. And that's actually not true at all. Neuroscientists came and said, okay, we can grow new circuits in our brain, these neural pathways, and we can adapt and we can learn. And that's where the technologies really come in, for them being able to see this and quantify it. And so it is catching up. And you are right. We are hardwired in what we currently, the science says the average age is 28 to 35. Your brain actually becomes hardwired, meaning that when you go into your environment every day and the things that you experience, your environment controls you in a way that you go into an environment, and if you see something, it pulls up a motor program, and we get on autopilot. And you described it perfectly. And there's a lot to break some of those patterns. Is number one, it's not simple, but they can be broken. You have to desensitize from and create new ones. And that's why I think you see tour players, the game's very emotional. And so if they are reinforcing, if they had an emotional experience on a golf course that maybe affected them, they could actually rehearse that pattern over and over again, and may not get out of it and not know how to break it and get into a new pattern.
Well, if I'm understanding this correctly, the way THINQ Golf goes is based upon the research that you've done with the brain. And it looks like you guys have this thing called brain games, which uses video games to help you become better with your brain and translate that onto the golf course. Can you maybe go into what the brain games are and how that is going to make you better when you hit the links?
Yes, absolutely. The skills that we work on are 5, and they're ones that there's kind of an overlap. If you talk to Dr. Cruz, we also have another neuroscientist on our board, is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And the skills that we work on are attention, awareness, intention, synchronicity, and adaptability. So there's 5 skills. And what you're seeing in the last few years, there's companies coming out, online cognitive training companies that are coming with games, and a lot of them are doing it in games. And if you wanted to learn the skill of memory, let's say, you'd go play a memory game, and you can improve there. What we hadn't seen really was, what about skills for athletes? The skill of attention. So you played at the highest level. It's like you've been told, stay in the present moment. What if you don't really have the skill of learning, staying in the present moment, or how you have a hard time doing that, or people have ADD or ADHD? How do you train that skill? So what we did is build some games, and we tested it with EEGs to see what the activity. EEG measures electrical activity, so it measures kind of the voltage fluctuations in the flows in the neurons in your brain. So it's like, are we lighting up the right parts of the brain? And then we do repetition, very much like you would go to the driving range and work on a golf skill. Or you go to the gym and you'd work on your fitness.
Yeah.
This is like a gym for your brain. And like you'd work on a golf skill, you got to work on the mental skill. And it is a little bit, I would say, a little bit ahead of its time. There are companies out there, like I say, like Lumosity is a big one. Lumosity has 50 million members, and they have people that come in and they do these cognitive skills online, and their goal is to make my brain brighter and be sharper and have problem solving skills and memory skills, and they have face recognition games. Ours was for an athlete. So the transfer, if I can go in and learn these skills, it's kind of like we're reprogramming the hardware. So when we go on the golf course, it's available to us. Because a coach, like if you're a Division I coach, or you're a PGA teaching professional or LPGA teaching professional, you're on the golf course with your player, you want to be able to communicate with them. And if they don't really have that hardware, it doesn't matter what input of software you're really trying to give them. So just trying to, it's like, the best way I can describe it is kind of like a gym for your brain to sharpen some of those skills.
Now, our listeners out there, if you're headed home, or if you're sitting at home or watching us on Ustream.tv, or you're going to be coming back to this right now, if you want to follow along a little bit, you can go to ThinkGolf.com, but it's ThinQ Golf is the easy way for me. It's ThinQ Golf, and that's thinksgolf.com. We're rolling through his website if you want to follow along. I just want to keep everybody abreast of what we're trying to do. If it's easier sometimes to see it and hear it, and I think you would probably agree with that. If you can see it, hear it, you get some kind of synergy and that goes with it, and maybe a little more understandable.
Now, I'm also seeing that you have something called a Q score. Can you maybe explain what is a good score if you take these tests and quizzes and games, and how do you improve that score?
Yes, you're exactly right. The Q score is 0 to 100. So if I go in and play the attention game and I score 84, that's 84% out of 100. And the Q score, what we're developing currently is, and we need data for this, is we're developing this into like a mental handicap index. So you have your USGA handicap index. You also have, if you've ever gone through any type of fitness screen, you also have an index for the body side. And so you have a handicap. So I was like, okay, how can we handicap how good your mental game is? And that is really what we're after, and we're collecting data. So you would come on to currently, THINQ is a little bit, we built this online portal for a little bit more than the games. The games are to train the skill, but we also offer education. We offer educational webinars every month, and we have a couple other performance tools. You get a locker, and you have a performance tools in there. You have a vision board, a journal, and you have education. But to answer your question on the Q score, is we need to get a baseline. So you come to the website, and we establish a baseline and see where you're at, and then we're in the process. Again, we need data. This company is kind of in its infancy stages, if you will. We're bringing in data and going, okay, here's your prescription based on you've answered some profile questions, we've played some games, we find out where you're at. Here's your mental handicap index. Here's where you could be if you, in fact, did this program. And that's really what we're after. But yes, the Q score is simply a 0 to 100.
Now, is that per each one of these 5 attention spans, whatever you want to call it, awareness, attention, synchronicity, intention, adaptability, to achieve this cognitive coherency? Is each one of those have their own little mental workout plan, or is it just all-encompassing?
No, those are actually 5 different games right now. And the games have different different holes to them. And there is a golf score there just to kind of keep it with the golf theme. So
Sure.
if I go in and play the attention game, and I do the first exercise on attention, and that's hole number 1, I'll get a score. And there's always a result afterwards that I make the putt on my short or my long. And but no, and then what? So there's levels there. I mean, you have different levels, and to get to the and it's interesting looking at the leaderboard. There's a leaderboard in there as well. It's interesting to look on the leaderboard to see, okay, who is on there? Is it the elite level players that are on there? Is it the tour players that are on there? And we're seeing patterns here that people in effect that really are good with these mental skills do. They are high up on the leaderboard. I mean, a lot of tour players at the top of the leaderboard, and golf professionals and whatnot.
Well, Tim, I'm looking at the website. It is amazing, all the stuff on there and all the information. But my question to you is, how long did this take to develop, and when did you guys launch? Because this is very interesting stuff.
Yeah, actually, we call it the Q Club. We launched it in June. The Q Club launched, and we basically the first year. Not to get long-winded with a story here, but this thing kind of evolved by I was giving a simple golf lesson to a student, a tour player, and I was taking him through some focus drills that we're doing on the range, and he turned around and was like, "Yeah, this is really fun. This kind of reminded me of a video game. We were on the range doing certain things with the flags and focus drills," and that's where the idea evolved. So then it turned into an idea, and I went to a couple professors from ASU, and they were building video games for surgeons to prepare them for surgery. And I was like, wait a second. I said, okay, there's something here. I said, I really, truly believe there was a better way to train these skills, as I shared with you. And then it evolved. And so for a year, we built the games, and we had to test them. It's very important to Dr. Cruz and I that this is all science-based. And that's, like I said, how I'd always gone about the golf instruction aspect. So being science-based, we wanted to build and test the games. And then we built the portal around it. And then the educational piece was a little bit of the tie-in. We'll have a webinar for an hour on the skill of attention, and we'll talk about attention and what it means. And we're getting players from, we get players from all over. We get high handicap golfers that have tried a little bit of everything and really could relate to this. We get a lot of teaching professionals that want to help their students. We get tour players on there that are kind of looking for that because, when you look at a tour player, if they can a half a stroke on the PGA or LPGA tour is a tremendous amount. I used to tell my players at ASU a tenth of a stroke. If you can pick up a tenth of a stroke here and a tenth of a stroke here and a tenth of a stroke here, we did a survey with our members asking them, put your USG handicap in when you start. And then we surveyed them 2 months later, and we're like, are you improving? Is your score coming down? Because at the end of the day, that's really what people want to, that's all they're after is the result. Am I getting better? Am I improving? And the results have been really good.
Yeah, I was going to ask, that's actually the question I ask you is there a correlation between getting better scoring and better training? All of a sudden, is it relating to doing better on the golf course? And the answer to that question. Now, the thing is, as far as how long does it take for this to seed in the brain? I mean, is this a one-time deal? Is it once a day? Is it every other week? Give us some kind of exercise program for our brain.
3 times a week, 20 minutes a day, 15 to 20 minutes a day. We did a 3-week study of 180 minutes, and we did it on putting before and after. And we actually put all of our studies. There's a science lab on the website. We kind of have fun with the website. We have a locker room and a science lab and things like that. You can go into the science lab and learn about EEGs and learn about some of the studies we've done. And but no, that's what we recommend. It's not something that you have to do daily. It's like a golf skill. I mean, you could do your putting skills daily, but really, you want the brain to be able to adapt. It's called block training. You have block versus random. You want to be able to do your skills, and then the next day take the day off and go back in. Now, and keep that mind sharp. And I think the transfer, what people are doing, and they're tying in the education, and they're learning how to use some of these skills on the golf course. And that was what I was always after. It was like, you play you guys, it doesn't sound like you participate in the games yet, but once you get in there, you feel your mind working and churning and going, okay, it's almost like an endurance. I was a player, I was just working with a plus a couple practice rounds. That's an endurance
Yes.
of trying to be able to keep that focus for that long and knowing when to keep it and when to let it, when to how to regulate it, self-regulating your skills out there.
Tim, I want to ask this question. You talked about the skills, the awareness, attention, synchronicity, intention, and adaptability. You, I'm sure, have a lot of data. Is one of those 5 jump out to where it seems like most people
it's the
lack?
major note. I gotcha.
Is it one of these 5 that really jump out more than the other 4?
The synchronicity and attention game have tested the highest as far as really synchronicity helps our brain right and left balance. You have something down the middle of your brain called the corpus callosum, and a lot of people have difficulty with right and left balance. They're either too much left and they can't get right, or they don't get enough. So we're looking for a balance there between those hemispheres. And the attention game is good for players to, we've always said stay in the present moment, but then people, they bounce. We need to pay attention to things that are important to us, and that's what the attention game really does. And I look forward to getting more and more research. This thing becomes into kind of like a cognition project as we get data in from golfers and we get building, more games and levels and learning. We're at this infancy stages of learning. We know it's effective, but how effective and how does that transfer to a scorecard? And I'd love to say that we're a couple of years into the research, but the research up till now has been completely done with, looking with the hardware, looking at different patterns, and then we were simply going, okay, let's build a game and see if we can stimulate those same neural pathways.
All right, now here we got listeners out there. Like I said, I have them go to thinkgolf.com. That's thinqgolf.com, thinqgolf.com or thinkgolf.com. I just make sure they get the address right. But they really can't. Can they do much in here until they register or do something with you guys?
No, we actually have a free trial on there. We
Okay.
come in and we want people to join and play the games. We want them to check it out. There's a 3-day trial. You can play unlimited games for 3 days. You can go in and watch a webinar. We've really opened it up, and then they can make a decision. We also, the holiday season. Great gift for that kind of golfer in your life. That's available on.
That's why you're on,
well.
Tim.
Perfect timing.
This was a great. I'm telling you, if all the cards fell, all the stars aligned for you today. It was Christmas time. We're looking for somebody to fill in on a drop in our show today, and I had you in my tickle file, and it just I keep everything that I get from everybody, and there becomes an appropriate time to take and have you on. And this couldn't have been better. Christmas is around the corner. This is very unique and different.
Well, the thing is, you can try it for 3 days.
Exactly.
And if you like it, then perfect.
And
gift.
you're right here in the valley. You're in Scottsdale. We love our local businesses.
And for them to have Dr. Debbie Cruz as one of the main people that's doing it, she's definitely renowned within the golf world of who you can work with as a psychologist to get yourself better.
That is beautiful. Now, as far as they come in, they like it. Is there a monthly fee? Is it a one-time charge? How does it work?
We do a 1 month, a 3 month, or an annual.
Okay.
And it's fairly reasonable as listeners will see when they get in there. So yeah, we just definitely, like you said, have them check it out, see if it's a good fit for them, and we'll keep enhancing the product and building a better experience.
Beautiful. All right, Tim, we want to thank you for your time. Tim Souser, he is the founder, CEO, Class A Pro, Think Golf. Like I said, I'm spelling it out for you guys. THINQ Golf, Think Golf, play on words, and we wish you the best of luck, Tim. Thanks for coming on. Maybe we'll follow up with you here in the first of the year. We'll have a follow-up session, and maybe we'll have some more fun with this.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you
have
very
a great
much.
holiday.
Thank you very much. There we go, folks. Hey, interesting, dog. I mean,
That was
talk about the physical side of it.
very
Let's get
interesting.
mental, man.
But I think we've had some other mental people on, and they all kind of talk the same jargon. He was talking about balancing the brain,
Yeah.
right and left. We had some other. So it
This
seems
is-
like this is the new thing, guys.
Yeah, but this is like, say, this lumosity. Lisa does it, and she says she can tell a difference in what's going on with lumosity. So I'm going to say, if you guys honestly get in, listeners, go into the site. You got 3 days free.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you think of this. I know there's a bunch of guys out there to go into this and look, check it out. We're going to rely on you to do that, listeners, and give us an idea and give us some feedback on it.
I like that idea.
I do too.
Interesting stuff.
Oh, I love it. And I can't wait to have Tim back on again sometime. But all right, folks, we got to take a quick break. We got to get our sounder going. Oh, I've got to get my sounder. I mean, come on, folks. Everybody wants to hear Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas is Uncle Buck. Everybody.
Yeah, you might want to.